What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about some big news that came out that's quite bullish for the markets, what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends very soon, just about 11 days from now. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So, looking at SPY, we're making a nice comeback right now. We had some nice news that came out that helped this thing launch back up. But the way this started was we had this big downtrend that started after Jerome Powell's speech, with the Fed announcing they're not going to be cutting rates as much as initially projected going into the next upcoming years, right? So the market got a big sell-off during the pre-markets. During the pre-market, the market gapped down really hard. This also happened because of some pressures involving the U.S. spending bill. There were some fears about that not getting passed on time and potentially causing a government shutdown. There was that factor, and then all the news from FOMC that really caused this fear to build up. But as time went on, we got some good news. The PCE data was really nice. Everything was below expectations. So I was expecting the market to bounce. I did say that in my morning video. And then the market did get a nice bounce after PCE and it just continued to run very, very nicely. So we'll be watching to see, is the market about to reverse here? What do you have to watch for to see that? Or is the market about to get a rug pull? I'll give you guys an answer in just a couple of minutes. I want to talk about some news that came out that's quite good first. So the first thing I want to mention is the whole market is in the green right now. We have Apple, Nvidia, Google all pushing. We have tech looking quite nice. And the majority of sectors from health to consumer durables were in the green, except for like Tesla and Meta. Tesla and Meta were a little bit weaker. The reason why Tesla came down is because there's all this news coming out that Tesla has this recall involving 700,000 of their vehicles almost. They claim, and this is what mainstream news is claiming, they claim it's a recall. They claim that Tesla is having issues at reporting tire pressure warnings and such. But that's actually not entirely the truth because, yes, even though that is what's happening, it's not necessarily a recall. Yes, Tesla may have to report their tire pressure issues better, but the way to fix that was just one simple software update, which Tesla has already done. So that's the thing is like it just takes a software update and then the issue is fixed. To call that a recall does not really give it the same context of what truly is a recall. A recall for a company such as like Ford or GM is very different from that of like Tesla in this case. I think that they're not really holding it to the same standard. So I think that all this mainstream news about how 700,000 Teslas were recalled is just not necessarily the truth. And despite that, we still saw Tesla sell off because of that. And this could just be another buying opportunity for Tesla to try to rebound going into next week. I'm not really too worried about that. But anyways, about the markets, we have some good news that came out. So part of the reason why the market was bouncing was not just PC, but also this news right here. The U.S. House of Representatives have voted today to pass a spending bill. This just came out, I believe, about like 30 minutes ago. And they're going to be avoiding a government shutdown from their end, but that does not necessarily mean that the bill is done with, right? The legislation passed on a 366 to 34 vote. And on top of that, what's going to happen is now the bill is going to pass the US Senate. And then if the Senate approves it, President Joe Biden will sign it. And then once again, we will avoid the government shutdown. So step one is complete. There's one more main step, I would say, which is going to be like the Senate getting it approved. I believe once the Senate gets it approved, Biden will sign it anyways. So the main thing is now just get the Senate to approve this. Once the Senate takes care of that, then yes, it will pass to Joe Biden, and then things will improve from there. If anything, the bill is going to keep the government funded through mid-March. It's going to be extending the farm bill and offering more aid to farmers and other things like that. And there's other things that are involved in it. I'm not going to go over the specific details. Elon Musk has been talking a lot about it as well, but I'm not going to go over all the details about that. I just want to say this is a good piece of news because this is very important for the U.S. government and the U.S. economy. If there is a government shutdown, it's going to have a negative effect for workers who will not get paid for a long period of time and other factors like that. So just for now, this is a very good piece of news. Hopefully the Senate get it passed very, very soon and then Biden could sign it. That's going to be best for the majority of Americans, especially governmental employees. Moving forward, another good catalyst was this. All the PCE data was below expectations, which is quite good. A little bit ironic considering the fact that CPI was a bit hot, but PCE is looking decent. That's why the market bounced as well. This is another big factor. I just want to say that because this week just ended, this was the last full week of trading for the year, and the market made a nice comeback attempt towards the end. Now, just know this, going into next week, December 23rd is going to be Monday. There's not really much data coming out on Monday or Tuesday. It's all very minor. Wednesday, the stock market is going to be closed because of Christmas. And then for Thursday, we just have initial jobless claims, not to mention Friday's very, very minor data. So pretty much for the rest of the year, the rest of the data is going to be very minor. We also have the market being closed on Christmas. So there's just a couple of trading days left for the year. And then, we're going to be approaching 2025. On top of this, I just want to say that as far as the market goes, we also have like no significant earnings coming out for the next 2 weeks. We're going through a quiet period because of the fact that it's the Christmas holiday and the New Year's is coming up. So there's not going to be anything to report for earnings. Another quiet period. So it's going to be very peaceful going into next week in terms of like how much data and earnings are coming out. It's going to be quite peaceful. Things become very serious for earnings by mid-January. That's when we have like big bank earnings starting again. So this is what the calendar looks like. If you guys want, you could take a screenshot of this or just like save this just so you guys know when earnings start again. But anyways, moving forward, just know that right now there's still a lot of fear left in the markets, but we're not as fearful as before. And we'll see if the market makes a nice comeback from here. Momentum is still at fear, but it's trying to bounce back up to neutral. And then two more things: the put to call option ratio is at fear. As soon as the ratio starts to explode and starts going up, what happens? The shorts get squeezed. So it's pretty crazy how that happened. As soon as people start buying puts like crazy on the 5-day average, things start going up, then they squeeze the shorts. So that's how the market makers play their game. Lo and behold, it's no surprise. The VIX is rejecting really hard, but it hasn't lost its 50 daily moving average yet. So there's still a sign that this could hold support and bounce. There's no confirmation it's officially getting a huge rejection in a way where it's just going to continue to collapse. We have to wait and see how it reacts to support. So what do I see for the markets? Okay, it's very simple. If you look at this, okay, the trend over here was higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Then the trend shifted just temporarily because of all this news involving Congress, because of Jerome Powell, because of the Fed. We made a lower high right here, lower low, lower high, lower low. Now we're trying to bounce back up. So we broke this high right here. We made a new high today relative to the high from Thursday, which is yesterday. And if anything, SPY is doing a good job at holding up. Now, if we come back down next week and we make a higher low right here. So if we come down, make a higher low and we bounce, and then we break the high up here, I will turn bullish. I'm expecting 599 in the 600s pretty easily. But we have to break 595 first at the very least. If we break that, we're going to explode. If we can't do that, if we reject and we end up losing, if we lose like 580, I'm going to be a lot more concerned. For now, it looks like we have a strong green bar. There's buyers coming back. And with the news that the House has passed a spending bill, this could be favoring upside a little bit more for the Christmas week. In all honesty, especially because we have this imbalance over here. So what could be happening is the market makers, they might cause a little dip before it tries to get bought back up. And then if we break 595, we're looking for us to get closer to these highs all over again. That's one of the most likely possibilities. So we'll see about that. But it is looking like the market may attempt to reverse. We need confirmation though. We made a higher high. Can we make a higher low? Can we hold the low right over here and try to hold above 588 at the very least and start bouncing? It looks more probable, but we'll see about that. So far, we do favor upside because of that a bit more. Now on ES, the same thing is going on, right? We got this rejection, we had a lower high, lower low. But we got a nice comeback attempt. We are coming down a little bit. Can we hold support near 59.80? If we hold that, we could attempt to bounce and try to get back up to 60.50. If we lose that, we could be dumping, but this is favoring that it might try to bounce. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For Bitcoin, we have an inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. As long as we don't lose 96,300 next week, I think I favor 99,624. Nvidia is showing life right now. We're doing a good job so far. So we had a tendency of rejecting off our 20 and 50 EMAs over and over and over again for the last 2 weeks. This time we're trying to break out. So if we get above 136, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 140. We'll see if that breaks or not, so give this more time. For Tesla is looking decent. We're kind of stuck in the middle. We're on a bit of a downtrend here, but here's the thing. Tesla has not lost critical support to turn a lot more bearish. It held 420. It only came down because we got this negative news about the recall and all these other things coming out. But if anything, what is good about Tesla is we held yesterday's low. We held this low at 410, and we're doing a pretty good job. So because Tesla's holding this low, there's a good chance that this is going to attempt to stay in a range. And as long as we don't lose that, we could try to bounce. So look at support at 420. If we do lose that, we're looking for 410 again. I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. As long as we hold 420, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 438. We're in a range between 420 and 438. I think it might try to bounce back up to 438 for now, and we'll have to see if we can break that. But Tesla's doing a good job at basing, and let's hope we get a bounce from here. So there's potential for to try to get back up to these levels. And as long as we make a higher low, I could see potential in this to bounce in reverse. For NQ, same thing. Big green bar, we came back down. We have to try to hold 21,492, or maybe a little bit below that. As long as we hold above the 21,400 area, we could try to bounce. I want to see it break 21,800 to turn more bullish. If that breaks, we're looking for the 22,000s back up to this imbalance. Could be a dip and a bounce is the most likely possibility, so watch for that. For the QQQ, we look more bullish. As long as we don't lose 517 and then like the 514 area, this could attempt to rebound. We have to break 523, and we're looking for essentially 530-ish. So I could be looking for a comeback, especially as there's this imbalance over here. So nice green bar here. We dipped a bit and we're going to try to bounce. So look for a nice move right over here. For the Apple stock, we look more bullish. As long as we don't lose our support at 254, we're favoring 256 and eventually 258. So I do see some more upside potential in this. We'll see if we end up holding support or not, but watch and see if this breaks out more. For the IWM, we look decent. As long as we don't lose the low over here, this looks like it's going to try to go up to 225 at the least to me. I see potential in this. Let's see if we make a higher low, though, just to be safe, because this could be like a left shoulder and then a right shoulder that's forming before it tries to break out. So we could be looking for 225. For Palantir, I know a lot of people are asking me about this. We look pretty good. I called out in the morning. It looks bullish. As long as we break 78, we're looking for 80. That was a correct call. And then this looks like it's going to go up to 82 plus next week. So it looks bullish. We're looking for the 82s. For Coinbase, this is pretty decent. As long as we don't lose 273, I favor 290 as a potential target. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. Amazon, Amazon, as long as we don't lose 225 and 223.8, we are favoring upside. It looks decent, got a nice double bottom. I could be looking for an attempt to get back up to 230, but I want to see it hold above 225 just to be safe next week. Meta was a little bit weaker. It's still barely holding its 200 EMA at 586. As long as it holds that, we could try to make a comeback. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I think there was negative news that came out, which is why it was a little bit weaker. But despite that, we'll have to see if this holds up. It's looking a little bit weaker compared to its counterparts. We'll see if 586 holds or not. If not, I'm going to be looking for a move lower towards like 576 or so. So this was one of the exceptions in the market. Sometimes that does happen. So I'm going to be looking for a rebound attempt going into Monday to get back up to 595 to 600. If it does not hold that, it could still reject and dip lower. If it does break 600, we're looking for a move back up. But look for a bounce just to start things off is the most likely possibility. We made a nice move on Microsoft hitting about 444, then coming back down. It depends on if we make a higher low or not. If we lose 430, I turn a little bit more bearish. If we make a higher low into like the 434 area and we bounce from here, I'm looking for a move to 442, then eventually back up. So there's potential for it to bounce here to 444, and we'll see if that ends up being the case. Google's also looking decent. As long as you don't lose 192, I'm favoring a move back up to 195, eventually back up towards 197. So I see potential in this. As long as 192 does not break, this could try to bounce. So give this the time it needs. The VIX is also looking a little bit weaker here, but it did not lose its key support on the daily time frame. So if you look at the daily, for example, it did not lose its key EMAs. So it's doing a good job so far. So we'll just have to see how things end up going from here, and we'll see if we get some kind of bounce or not. Also, the dollar index is looking, it looks like it has some kind of like bearish divergence. So that could signify there's more downside potential in the dollar, especially because when you go back like this, it came very close to like breaking this resistance only to come short. So if the dollar turns here, it could be dipping to about 106.82, which tends to be bearish for it. And then that's more bullish for the markets. So we have another confluence that suggests upside is more prominent. So my view of the market is this. We'll have to see a big test next week if we get some kind of bounce. Let's see if we get something over the weekend involving the spending bill. If the Senate passes it and Joe Biden signs it before like Monday morning, that could be a bullish catalyst and that could help the market bounce more. If not, we'll see if the market reverses still. I still think there's potential for it to try to push more, but we need to see if we can break the highs and then if we truly get reversal signals. I think we do look bullish, but just to be safe, I'm going to be a little bit more patient with this. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for your attentions, guys, and I'll be back with another update going into tomorrow. Just know I'm keeping this video a little bit shorter than usual because, it's Friday. People just want to spend time with families and just do other things. So, I'm going to end the video from here, and I'll be back tomorrow to give you guys another update. Until then, thank you and peace out.